This is my new Samsung Galaxy S21 Fans Edition, and in today's video I'm going to show you the top tips that I've learnt to seamlessly transfer data from one Samsung Galaxy phone to this, my new Samsung Galaxy phone. Let's get to it! Now, until relatively recently, I used to work at Samsung, and as you'd expect, we got given a lot of phones over the years, and I learned a number of these tricks from just needing to change phones. This is my old phone, a Samsung S20 FE, and this is the phone that I've been recording my YouTube videos on for ever since I started the channel. But it's time for a new phone, and so it's time to get started with an upgrade and a transfer of data. So what do we need to do first? My top tip, number one, is to take a photo of your new phone, and the reason why will become obvious a little later on. So here I am taking a picture, and that gives us this shot, and that shot is the one that we will use going forward. Just a picture of the box clearly showing the make and model of the phone. The next thing to do then is to go into your phone, go to your settings, and go into the section under backup. And what you need to do here is activate all of the backup parts that I'm doing here, call logs, messages and so on, and this is for the Samsung backup. So this is backing up into the Samsung cloud. We'll come to Google in a minute. And the reason for doing this is that, as you've seen here, you get all of your call logs, all of your messages, your calendars, your contacts and so on, all of the core information that you use in your phone. In my particular case, I hadn't ever backed this up, so if I'd lost this phone or had it stolen, I would have lost this data, which is foolish and is the sort of thing that as an employee I would have probably been sacked for. But anyway, I'm no longer an employee, so that's fine. But that is quickly done, and then what we can do, or the next step of the process, is effectively go through and force your phone to update its Google backup, which I had been using. So here we are, back in backup, and then I've selected backup here from Google. Now, Google will back up when it's plugged in for 2 hours, doing nothing and on a Wi-Fi. So in my case, that was the night before. I think that says 04, so 4 in the morning or whatever, and now I've forced it to go through another backup. It's worth pointing out at this stage that if you're going to start this process, firstly, give yourself a couple of hours. This is not the work of minutes. And secondly, do make sure that your phone has all the very latest updates installed before you start this process. I had gone through, and my phone automatically installs updates, but if you haven't got that setting activated, then do go through and get updates. While Google's doing its thing, the next thing that I'm going to come onto momentarily is WhatsApp, and that's really important. So let's just wait for that to come through. So when you're in WhatsApp, the thing that you need to understand is that unless you back up your chats directly in WhatsApp, neither the Samsung backup nor the Google backup will capture that data. And it's an unbelievable pain if you realize that after you've migrated to your other phone. So absolutely take a WhatsApp backup of all your chats and your WhatsApp photos and get that going before you do any data transfer into your new phone. That takes some time, as you'd expect. There's a gigabyte of data. I'm speeding this up, so here you go, we're at 99%, 100%, and then off we go again. 15-20 minutes I think that took. So here's what my screen looks like on my S20, and that's exactly what I will replicate once I've gone into the S21. So let's just pause there for a moment and go back over the steps that we've already done. So step number one, or tip number one, is to make sure that your phone is fully charged and that all updates have been done to the phone. Second tip is to take a photo of your new phone. The third tip is to force your phone to go through and do its backups, and that being the case with Samsung Cloud, with Google Backup, and perhaps most importantly, making sure that WhatsApp has backed up all the chats before you do any transfer. So with those first 3 steps done, the next thing to do is turn on your new phone and get it all set up and going through those basic things that need to be done. So here's that first question you get asked: insert your SIM and so on. So take your SIM out of your old phone, pop it into your new SIM. I'm speeding things up here to get through it, because where we want to be is set up on a network, Wi-Fi network, and then starting with the smart switch process, which is here, copying the apps and data using Samsung's built-in smart switch app. Now, as you've seen here, the phone, despite being brand new, is updating Smart Switch. That app needed an update, needed to go through that process. So once that's doing, or while that's getting itself ready, using on your old phone is to go and do the same thing. So here's Smart Switch in my apps, fire that up, and here it's offering to transfer the data. So I'm sending the data from my old phone into my new phone using the wireless method. You can use a cable, but Wi-Fi I find, or is it high frequency, something like that, it works, seems to work really well. So here you are allowing the connections, or here I am allowing the connections, and here it is looking and searching for data to transfer. So it's going through this process, and it's all happening between the two phones. There's nothing to do. You just need to decide what data you want to transfer. I'm having a look around here just to see what you can select in custom, so you can go through and decide which apps go over, which photos go over, whether you want your accounts to go over. In the end, I'm just selecting, having a look around some photos, can't remember what I was doing here, but trying to understand what it is I'm taking over. I think in the end I just decided that I had enough space on the new phone to take everything over, so selected everything. It was something like 60 gig, so it's a decent amount of data going over. And then once you've selected go, here it is, you get the option to copy everything over to your new device. So let's go copy, and you need to unlock, so using thumbprint to do that, and there we go, off the process starts. Now, as mentioned before, this takes some time, particularly in my case when I'm moving 60 gig of data, and there's an option here to it reminds you about WhatsApp, by the way. That's useful. We've already done that WhatsApp backup, but it's saying right there, if you haven't done it, do it. I selected this option here to keep the screen on the phone that's sending the data, and I also took the time to install the new case that I bought with my new phone. So in the next shot you'll see it's wearing its new case. So after I think it was about an hour or something, it had finished, and then what you see here is the standard kind of screen layout of the new phone. But the Smart Switch process will bring over the screen layout of my original phone, and this is what it's doing now. Once all the data is transferred over, it starts installing apps and starts configuring things in the background. Again, this takes some time, so I'm cutting bits of this out so you can see it progressing. We're getting close to the end now, it's nearly finished, and we'll see my old phone on the left hand side say it's complete shortly. There we are, 99% coming through there. And there we go, all done on the phone, and then on the old phone having sent the data. So now you can just close down Smart Switch there and turn that phone off, or at least turn the screen off. Meanwhile, the new phone is still organizing your transferred data, and as you can see, still a good amount of time to go through on that one. Look at that, it's now 6:15. I think I started this process around about 3 o'clock, and there we go, just gone a few minutes later. These are the data transfer results. 60 gigs gone over, a huge amount of photos in my case, and everything is set up. And as it says there, apps continue to install in the background. So what you'll see in the next shot when I show you the screen, some of those apps are greyed out, they're still being installed. But more importantly is that that screen is an exact replica of my old phone. If I just wake that one up, do the thumbprint, and as you can see they are identical. So it's brought it all over and everything looks the same. Now you may be wondering why we took a photo of the new phone right at the beginning of this process, and that's in order that we know exactly the last photo we took on the old phone, and that really helps when we go through the process of managing those photos that we brought over to the new phone. So in terms of managing those photos, now that I've brought all of the photos from my previous phone over, what I want to do is select all 2,800 of them and move them into their own dedicated album. So I'm creating this album and I'm going to name it Samsung S20 FE. Now again, with my new phone, I took a photo of my old phone box in order that I could have a nice picture for this album. So here I'm going to select that one there it is. And that means I can quickly identify that that folder is for S20 FE photos, the previous phone. You can also use the photo that I took of my new phone, the S21 FE, in a year's time whenever I make another phone upgrade, and I can use that photo for the album cover. As well as that, here I'm just resizing the photo. You can manipulate it to make it as obvious as you need to. I'm just going for the picture of the box so I can clearly identify it. Most of these phones look the same these days, so otherwise it wouldn't be so clear. And what you can see there is I've done that for a number of previous phones, S9, S10e and S20. And finally, here's a view of all my screens showing that it's exactly the same as the S20 I had before, but on my S21. So now all that remains is that very nice satisfying step right at the end of the process of removing the unnecessary stickers. Here on the back of the phone is one of these QR code stickers, so that's coming off. This colour is olive, by the way, if you like it. This is a plastic backed phone. I actually prefer that, having broken the glass back of an S7 back in the day. I prefer these plastic back ones. And then last sticker is on the back of this case. It's just another QR code, and off that comes, and then the phone can go back in the case and everything is ready. So for the final time, let's just pause there and recap on these 5 steps. Number 1, phone fully charged, make sure all your updates are done. Number 2, take a photo of your new phone. Number 3, force your phone to go through its backup process for Samsung Cloud, Google Backup, and importantly WhatsApp. Number 4, go through the process of transferring data using Samsung's built-in Smart Switch app, either wireless or using a cable. And then finally, take a photo of your old phone and manipulate your photos into an album so that you've got photos from your previous phone stored in a separate location from any new photos that you'll be taking with your new phone. And all that remains to say is thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you found that helpful, and have a great rest of the day. Thanks and goodbye.